I just wanted to show one run of this because it's a... It's it's shameless in some ways, but it's actually there. It seems like it has something going for it. What button am I hitting here? I need to get the game. I need to get the video game onto the, there we go. All right. You know what? Speaking of jump scares, there was another thing I wanted to try that is not on this list that I will load up. But this game is called Project Lazarus. If you like vampire survivors, but you're like, I'm tired of all these vampires and monsters and all this other stuff, what if instead it was mechs and bugs? Well, you're in luck. Because for you, there is Project Lazarus. It's a little bit different. So everything auto fires, but all of the mechs control 50, differently.
40, 30.
And
10.
This starting mech is you actually do, you know, we are aiming with the right stick. But with some of the other mechs, they have like tank controls, and there's another one that only fires forward. Let's go with shotgun, I guess. Oh, I'm already getting hit. I tried this game out first on the Steam Deck, and it runs fine, but I found it very difficult to follow the action because the bugs were very small. This stage is a little bit better for me color-wise, but the first stage, the bugs just blended into the grass in the background, and that kind of made it very hard to kind of see the bugs coming my way, which was a little frustrating. Crit chance or level up we're going to level up the machine gun here. This game feels a little thrown together. You know, obviously it's still in early access. Let's see what Orbital Striker does. Okay. Because the mech is big. The mech is too big. That is my problem with this game, is the mech is too big. Tesla coil, let's go with that. You maintain that 20 minutes to dawn is the best vampire survivors like, but the catch is in 20 minutes to dawn you actually push buttons to fire, so it's just a dual joystick shooter. There's nothing. It's not a vampire survivors like at that point, right? It's a Crimson Land-esque. The official distinction. Let's try missile launcher. Yeah, it's like, what are these orbital things? Do they just drop on me? Because that's pointless. Oh no, they just drop wherever. What terrible. Increase armor by 1 per level. I'm not sure what that means. Like when I level up, I get 1 armor, because 1 armor is not much. We need this machine gun to be firing faster anyway. We need to pick up the pace here. My problem. It does have. It appears to have a fast mode like Vampire like Vampire Survivors. This game also does, but I've not unlocked any of that. This game feels like it has a very slow start, and I don't know. I just thought we're probably not gonna stick with this for very long here. I'll do one run and we'll probably stop. But it's just interesting to see a game that so plainly is taking from Vampire Survivors. Like the menu style looks similar. Like that, there's kind of no denying that game is the inspiration for this one, I think. Uh-oh. There are tons of these. Yeah, I would love to do a stream that is just like, here's all the games that came out after Vampire Survivors blew up that are kind of taking, directly taking things from that game. Chem Tank extrudes poisonous canisters. Have I seen a genre name for these yet? I have not. I guess I haven't really seen a specific, like, what do we call this genre of game? Because it's, dual joystick shooter doesn't make a lot of sense. Because in some of them you are not using a dual stick at all. So it's not a Robotron clone. It's not it is adjacent to that stuff. Is it auto shooter? Like auto chess, but for shooters? Last time I got the Siege Cannon, it seemed like it really sucked. So maybe we'll go with Drone Pod. Auto Survivor, that's not bad. That shotgun seems like it's doing work, so let's keep upgrading the shotgun such that it might continue to do that work. The Orbital Striker seems like a huge mistake. Auto Shooter Survival, or ASS for sure. I like it. I love these ass games. And then the people that stream them constantly we can refer to as ass boys. Let's level up our little spinny ball thing. Actually, well, 4 to 7. Faster reload. Oh, that thing disintegrated right as I was heading over there. Okay, there's some things on the map here that we should probably go pick up. Seems like these things might matter. A jaunty little number. Where else are the enemies to shoot? I'm finding a flaw with this game. There we go. This is a silly little jam. Improve rate of fire. And we can pick, I don't think it matters, but you can pick what slot you want the reactor to be in. This is a jaunty little tune. It's hard, you know, there are so many games coming out, and it's tempting to want to, like, throw a lot of shade at a lot of games. Like a game like this that is very clearly trying to knock off a lot of the Vampire Survivor stuff, right? Where, you know, you start to wonder, like, how much of this game came out of an asset store, you know? And it's a shitty thing to think. But you start to wonder, like, how much of this is full on, yo, we got these assets, let's go. I just took a ton of damage. And, like, I don't know, like, it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? So think about it this way. And this was something that was true with me even back in the, like, weird, like, arcade game construction kit, like all the weird, you know, make your own video games that came out in the 80s, your pinball construction set and stuff like that, is the hardest thing to get. Or WarioWare DIY is a really good example of this. The thing that kept me from making more games was probably a lack of art and a lack of patience to make the art. So, in a scenario where you can find the art on a store somewhere and just focus on making your game, you know, I can't be too mad at it. I think that's really cool. When every single asset is off the store and there are a billion other games that are also taking the same things off the same store, you eventually hit a wall on that where you're like, yeah, ZZT. Yeah, we'll just use ZZT. Let's just go back to making games in ZZT. My friend Mike was a big ZZT guy, and we made fun of him for it. But you know what? Maybe he was right. But yeah, there's a line between, like, leaning on some assets and I guess getting every single asset out of the store. I don't know, but again, like, you know, the idea that, like, you know, not everyone's gonna have artists at their disposal to make stuff, and it's cool that those games get to exist as well, you know, and so I can't, you know, like the whole, like, asset flip, oh, it's just an asset flip sort of thing. I think that means something more than there are games that use that in a negative and games that use that in a positive, right? I think that when you've got games that are just trying to, like, you know, there's no good, because I was gonna say, like, you know, the games that are just like, they're just meme games or something, but even that's like a weird, harsh. It's cool that people are creating shit, period. And sometimes that shit, you know, a lot of it is getting ripped out of a store, and you know, and a lot of the games are using the same assets, and that eventually becomes a negative at some point, but hey. I mean, shit, you know, Vampire Survivors, its entire aesthetic is robbed from Castlevania games. Maybe not directly, you know, they're not sprite rips, right? But you know. Yeah, they aren't sprite rips anymore. Yeah, I guess that's the thing, right? Is, you know, even if you're like making a game with asset store assets and all that sort of stuff, you know, if your game breaks through in a certain way, at some point you're like, oh, I can afford to like make real art. Real art. I can afford to make distinct art that is unique to my product. That's something, yeah, Add that to my list of questions I want to ask to game developers once we get this interview operation off the ground. I feel like I'm just barely staying ahead of this right now. This is like I'm doing okay, but oh, stop me if you heard this before. Sometimes a bunch of enemies appear surrounding you and start to close in towards the middle, and then eventually they blow up and disappear. I just walked through them. This mech has an emergency shield that the first time you hit 0, it brings you back to 50, but I've used that and now I can't use it again. Uh-oh. Okay. Like some other games, it shows you the DPS of each individual weapon you have equipped. So that's Project Lazarus. It's all right. Yeah, and you unlock there's persistent stuff to unlock, upgrades for individual things, and yeah. The pulse rifle was pretty good when I'm just gonna throw some points into some of these weapons. I don't know. Yeah, it's yes. I think I am in agreement that a cool sci-fi version of a Vampire Survivors is a cool idea. But I don't know, that game, I feel like if you just took that game as is and made the mechs, let's say 30% smaller, I would probably like a little more. There's just something about the size of the mech on screen that just feels like it's taking up a little too much real estate. And I guess, you know, that's cool because it makes the mechs seem big, but I don't know. I don't think it needs that per se.